down and bring them back. As I said, getting paid $25 for every black slave, runaway slave they brought back to the master. They couldn't bring him back physically, but then they said, you get the $25. They said, bring him back. You can bring back his scalp with his ears attached. You get $20. They told him.
Dr. Anderson, can I hope you don't mind me.
Jump right in.
Input real quick, because I kind of need us to like process this in slow motion, what you just said. I don't know about everybody else, but I need to hear this again, because the thing is that the suffering that our people have gone through in this country is so deep that sometimes we gloss over it. You know, we just talk about it, and it's like too many facts to mention that we just kind of,
I'll slow down for you.
No. Yeah, no. You keep going. But I want to repeat my version of what I heard just now in the last 45 seconds come out of your mouth. If a white person killed a black slave for acting up, the insurance company reimbursed them for having to kill. I mean, that's very deep. That the insurance company would reimburse you for losing your property.
That's right. That was property.
Which you can't even do that with an animal. Like you can't even kill you can't even say my dog got out of line. I killed my dog. Give me money for my dog. So we were lower than a dog. Like we were lower than animals. I can't even think of anything that there is. I mean, can you tell me, guys, if you can think of anything that I could, like, if I have something that acts out of line and I kill it and I get reimbursed. Not like, forget getting arrested and punished, but I get reimbursed. And it seems like that connects to how people respond, when police kill black people, when anybody kills a black person, and then the other thing that got me, you said something right after that too. Oh, the Indians, right? A lot of us, went to school and were taught that the Indians were allies, that the Indians were We say it again?
You've been watching those John Wayne movies, so somehow thinking that blacks and Indians are together. That's one of the biggest myths that have been perpetuated in the society. Slavery could have never existed in this country and been maintained without the full support and involvement of the major civilized tribes in America. The reason they were called civilized is because they were taught to cease being savages and to settle down and start become farmers, clear the land, have slaves clear the land, raise crops just like a white man would. And once you do that, you support the enslavement institution itself, and we would give you some land. Not land, but we'll give you clothes, food, guns, and classify you as civilized. Now, 5 civilized tribes were made up of the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Creek Seminole Indians. And those were the 5 civilized tribes, and all of them signed up to fight with the South to maintain slavery. The first law was enacted in 1516 for the New York Treaty. And every treaty contained a provision saying support slavery and you'll be rewarded and compensated. That's why those 5 civilized tribes, and keep in mind, all those smaller tribes were underneath those 5 tribes. You might have had the Iroquois and the Apache and the Sioux and other tribes underneath, and the Blackfeet. Those were smaller tribes. The big tribes were the 5 civilized tribes: Choctaw, Cherokee, Creek, and Indians. Period. They were the big ones. They signed. That's why in the end of the Civil War, when the war broke out for the Civil War, those tribes signed agreements, written agreements with the South, saying we will fight to the death to maintain slavery because we have accepted your status of being a civilized tribe and being associated with you all, identified with you, and getting benefits from you, and that we own slaves. We are slave traders and slave owners, and therefore, and slave chasers. We have chased down your slaves for. We're going to fight now to maintain our level of income and status by helping you maintain slavery. So all those 5 civilized tribes fought with the South to maintain slavery. As a matter of fact, when the Civil War ended, the last general to give up was a general called Stand Waite. General Stand Waite was a Cherokee, and he was the last one to give up. But in the meantime, when the Civil War broke out in 1860s, and when it ended in 1864 and 1865, the Indians also followed what's called a black flag policy. The black flag policy said if you catch a black, if any of these blacks decide to fight back and join the Union Army, when you catch him, kill him immediately and instantly. Never take a black person prison. Now, you could take a white person prison if he was with the Union Army. That's why you had Andersonville, South Carolina, where they had all these prisoners out, Union soldiers down in prison. But they say you can never take a black So no Southerners, no white Southerners in the Confederate Army, nor any Indians would ever take a black person as a prisoner. They slaughtered them, and they killed them right out. They would throw them in the river, stuff like that, and you're on the heads and shoot them in the head while they were floating in the water. So I don't know why, so black folk bought that myth. That's about, well, they were our friends, and and they've been mistreated, maltreated like black folk. That's a lie. That's a lie. Indians have been in with the Federal Indian Bureau. Each one gets on an average of about $28,000 a year in income from the Federal Indian Bureau every year. And use a more specific example, I want to go down to the Seminole Indians in down south, right now in the south, like Florida, for instance, that based on what they got in terms of ownership in those gambling casinos and some of those major restaurants, that they average out about $135,000 each every year. And plus, and for years, they didn't pay any taxes. They had, and while it was against the law for a black person to go to school, the government made Indians to go to school. Think about that, where black slaves were denied the right to go to school. Anybody caught trying to educate a black man would be subject to a $100 fine and 39 lashes on his ass with a whip. To be caught teaching a black person to read and write and do math. But by the same token, an Indian was mandated. They built Indian schools. They had to go to school. And yet they now talking about, we've been beat up like black. Well, that's a damn lie. You slavehold blacks, and then when the Civil War finally ended, that in this country, after 2 years after the Civil War ended, the Choctaw and Chickasaw Indians were still holding about 12,000 and 15,000 blacks each, and still being enslaved. 2 years after the war was over, blacks were still being held in slavery without about those tribes in the country. That's why the federal government had to go into those Indian territories and force them to turn those blacks loose. And when they turn them loose, say, you better give them $100, and the government gave them money. That every Indian tribe should have given black folk $100 in the pocket when they left slavery. And also gave them access to the land, to the resources in those reservations, the access to the schools. They have made them tax exempt, and allow them to use the resources. That's what the 1866 Indian treaties were about. And your subscribers right now, your listeners, they can go look up the 1866 Indian treaties and see what benefits Indians got. And right now, Indians are still mistreating black folk. And in conclusion, to answer your statement, I know I'm running way past your time, is that those Indians supposed to have been taking care of blacks. They owe blacks. Indians owe blacks an indebtedness. And yet Obama and the rest of these politicians like Elizabeth Warren talk about, we got to give reparations for Indians. For what? For what? They said, well, they lost. They didn't lose no damn land. The land didn't belong to them. If you were to go to the Powernomics book, look in the Powernomics book, I show you a model for reparations for black folk by doing what Indians did. Indians have been getting reparations now since the 1866 treaty based on one simple misunderstanding, that they own the land, that they own the land when the white man come here. They did not own the land when the white man came here. Blacks, the Folsom people and other blacks, the Moors have been here way before those Indians ever arrived when they came across the Bering Straits, 15 or 16,000 years ago. But they've been getting reparations until the present time. Obama gave them $35 billion while he was in office. Didn't give one penny to black folk. Now, when I said black slaves for reparations, the treaties consist of three things for blacks: black Indians, freed blacks, and blacks who were free and period, just roaming free. And plus those who, as I said, freed black who have been set. That's why they call them freemen. But all those blacks in those treaties should have been getting benefits to the present time. That's why one of my lawsuits right now is pending in the appeals court, federal courts, and also the Sixth Circuit Court. And yet I can't find one black person, not one black person got enough damn sense to understand the nature of the issues. Those have been, we're going to talk about reparations. How do you tell you to talk about reparations on an emotional issue? You can't even get it on a legal issue. Those treaties were treaties of the grandest law in the land. It's a super law. A treaty is a super law, and that's been recognized by Congress. Okay, and you got those treaties, and those black folk entitled to all these benefits, and not one black elected official, not one black civil rights leader has ever come out and say, we're going to demand not ask for it, not beg for it, not crawl for it, not kiss butt for it. We're going to demand that this nation begin to honor those black treaties and start delivering those benefits to black folk. Right now, black folks should be able to get land from the federal government, just like Indians did, and be able to build their own damn gambling casinos in their own damn communities. And yet, not one can do it. Not one politician's raised it. And Obama didn't do a damn thing for black folk while he was in office all those years, 8 years. Every year he would invite 564 white Indian chiefs, so-called white Indian chiefs, to the White House and give them $3.5 billion a year. And this in conclusion, 92% of all the whites in the country claiming to be Indians are not even Indians. 92% of just white folks who are passing as Indians because their grandparents paid $5. History called them $5. They paid $5 to go to the Dawes Commission and pay the Dawes Commission $5. They put their name on the Dawes rolls that they were Indians when they weren't Indians. The Dawes rolls have been going around identifying those black Indians and those free black men and free blacks and put them on the Dawes rolls and give them a Dawes number so they can get benefits. But the whites went around and paid $5. They put their name on the Dawes rolls. That's why all these whites like Elizabeth Warren said, my great grandmother was an Indian. My great daddy was an Indian. Every white claims they got Indian blood. 92% of them have never had any Indian blood, never will be Indians. But they try to pass as Indians to get benefits while at the same time denying them for black folk. I got way off your point from 1705 back to the slave codes when you get back to that point, okay?
No, that's okay. That's okay. Everybody, please let Dr. Anderson know that it's okay. Like, we need the knowledge. Like, we playing catch up. Some of y'all, a lot of us, including me, are probably 20, 30 years behind in our education on what it means to be black in this country. We've been lied to for so long. And so I hope you let Dr. Anderson know that this is a godsend. Like, we really need this. And so, by the way, I want to make sure everybody knows, number one, if you're watching, please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you will be informed whenever we go live. Also, next week is the All Black National Convention. So go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We're going to debate these issues in an honest format at the convention. So allblacknationalconvention.com. If you want to watch online, sign up at allblackeducation.com. That's allblackeducation.com. Also, Dr. Claud Anderson's books and access to his YouTube channel are all at powernomics.com. So if you go to powernomics.com, you can check out Dr. Anderson's books, which I think should be required reading for every child. Remember, you are the school system for your child, not the public school system. You're the school system. So in your school system right now, I hope that you will make required reading that your children read Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. These are books where he's engaged in a lot of scholarly research. He's dug up detailed information. For example, I don't know, tell me yes or no. Has anybody in this room, has anybody ever had a history teacher tell them that the price that was paid to Indians for bringing back a black body was, what was it, $25 for the body, and then, no, you capture the person, it's $25, you bring back the scalp with the ears attached.
$25 we brought him back alive, $22 it brought back his scalp and with his ears attached.
Right, has anybody ever a teacher tell them that? Like the specifics, and that's what I like about it, right? The specifics. You don't get these receipts anywhere else. And I don't think they would have ever, tell me, do you think that they would have ever told you this? Do you think they really want a nation full of pissed off black people? And this is just one of 1,000 different facts that they have not told you in school. So it's really important that we learn these things. So Dr. Anderson, I want to ask you this. You were talking about Obama a second ago.
Let me put in one last point on that. Then you go to the next question. And that is, see, they don't do that because right now they want to make sure that Indians are in an elevated status over black folk. That came about starting about 1915 in this country, after Indians had a sufficient ass whipping, and they'd taken, and the whites had taken over most of the land out west. They then began to feel a little guilty about Indians. They started injecting an ethos about their feelings about whites, about Indians, by putting them in different symbolic positions, like put the Indians on the back of a coin, Indian head nickel, or doing advertising with an Indian chief crying about what's happening to the environment. They started putting Indians posters up, trying to paint Indians in a positive sense. And then that was in about 1915. Then by 1938, Indians say, well, we got a little bit of land and resources, but according to those treaties, we supposed to be taking care of black folk. And they said, but we don't want to give niggas nothing. And so what they did, they then wrote letters. Sent letters to the United States Department of Interior, federal government, and ask them, say, how can we avoid never giving black folk a damn things? These are the same people that black folk keep crying about. We got to help Indians. These Indians have been screwing black folk now for all these damn years. But that treaty says, how can we get around not giving them anything and violate the treaties? And that letter bounced around in the federal government for about 1938 up to about 1941 or 42. And then the Secretary of Interior, again, and sent a letter back from the federal government saying this, that the best way for you to make sure you shut black folk down in this country, where you get benefits alone by yourselves, just like Obama did, give you all those benefits and give black folk nothing, is for you to come up with a new rule to shut them out. And they come, and the rule would be, it's called a blood quantum law. Remember that now, Dr. Walker, it's called a blood quantum law, which is how much blood is in the body. And so they ejected that, and they came out and they had the Congress in and enact that says, from now on, anything for pertaining to black folk and black freemen and black Indians, they can't qualify for those benefits in those treaties unless they can prove a blood quantum law, which means they got to show they at least 1/4 inch in blood substance that is Indian. I mean, it must be Indian based. A nigger must have a 1/4 amount of Indian blood in his body to be entitled to it. That was conjectured up under the blood quantum law, which was made up in the 1940s to shut blacks all out. And right now, all the Indians talk about, you got to be a full-blooded, a quarter blood, a half blood. That has nothing in the world to do with the damn laws. The laws of the treaty laws, which are international laws, were in effect in 1866, didn't say a damn thing about quantum of blood. And black folk right now haven't gotten one damn penny, and nobody. So in conclusion, why in the world would black folk be meeting, talking about reparations? You tell me this, Dr. Watkins. Why the hell would they be talking about reparations? They don't even know the simplest ass thing. Going back in history when they had a chance in the law, why'd you be trying to emotionalize and verbalize about trying to get reparations? You can't even go back and got enough information based on facts and history to demand what you're already entitled to. That's why it makes no damn sense to me. No, I don't want to be in those damn reparation discussions because most of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then most of them too lazy to go read and find out about it. And right now, if they take those 5 books called a library pack, the Powernomics Library Book Pack, that covers all these issues for them, lay it out in timelines, dates, as you said, and show them how to play the game and win, then they can play it. But most of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just emotionalize it. They sat down in the bathroom and say, well, I think I'll do this. I'm gonna make this hard. I'm gonna write me a book about this. They don't document, they don't research, they don't know what they're talking about. And half of them just got good hearts, but they don't study. And those library packs should be in every black home. The Black Powernomics Library Pack should be in every home, every school, and every library. And if it's not in there, there's no way in God's name you're gonna be able to deal with white folk and get a damn penny out of them, because reparation is a legal issue. I mean, right now they're making it a legal issue, but in fact, it's a political issue. If black folks stood up and had some backbone and spirit and some knowledge, they could get reparations tomorrow. But they're too scared, and they're too ill-informed. They're not going to do it.
All right. Well, you know, the blood quantum law, I think you guys should look that up. And Dr. Anderson, as you were speaking, I was Googling on that, and they brought up the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, which they said that was one of the times they started using blood quantum to start to exclude people from the benefits, from the financial benefits.
And they said 1934. Really, the letter went up in 1938, but that's okay. That's good. That's all right. That's close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's important to understand. And it looks like as I was reading here, they were referencing a lot of legal challenges that people had to the use of these laws to exclude people. And so you have this lawsuit in court for many, many years. And this is something that we can rally behind. This is something politicians can do. This is something that